Go ahead.
Hey everybody, it's Tina-Desiree Berg. I am reporting for Status Coup News. We are live at the Hip Hop Caucus Town Hall of Caucus City. So basically we're going to have a bunch of speakers who are going to speak. We're going to talk to some activists, and there's going to be a Q&A commentary afterwards, so stay tuned.
You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. Give yourself a round of applause. Please go on your social media and tell people where you are at. We're at the gathering spot. Also let them know we got free food. For those that have not taken your picture, you could go ahead and go in the back and take your photo. You can get a Stop Cop City t-shirt right in the front. You can also get one of the stickers. And be fun with it. The picture is going to be sent to you, and then you can post it on as your profile pic or on your page, or you could print it out and make it as a poster as we're hitting the front line protesting against Cop City. For those that are here that are still trying to figure out what is this is exactly why we're having this community town hall, so we can be able to engage everyone on actual facts of what this militarized police training facility is. So we're going to be starting in 5 minutes with our great panelists, and give it up for community movement builders. Give it up for Until Freedom. Give it up for Save Ourselves. Give it up for Movement for Black Lives. Give it up for Song. Give it up for, well, I go by myself, but Yolanda, that's me. And then, most importantly, give it up for the Hip Hop Caucus. And give it up for yourselves. Okay, great. So we'll be starting really, really soon. So please use this opportunity to tweet, live stream. We have a lot of media. Shout out your media that's in the building. What media?
Status Coup. We're live streaming right now on YouTube.
Status Coup is live streaming right now on YouTube. So tell your friends, for everyone that's wanting to know, is this going to be live streamed? They could go to Status COUP. Status COUP on YouTube, okay? So put it on your newsfeed, Facebook, everything, and let everybody know. But give it up for the DJ. Yes. Now we've been dancing the entire time. Okay, we're going to be starting soon. All right, Stop Cop City.
So if you're just tuning in, we are about to live stream the Hip Hop Caucus Stop Cop City Town Hall. drive right now, and we would love your support, even if it's just $2 or $3. We're currently live right now. We're building up an audience. You should have a really good audience.
Check one. Check 1, 2, 2, 2.
I say my DJ is Sharon.
Hello, everyone. Y'all don't sound too lively. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this evening. We are going to have a lively and insightful conversation. My name is Marcia Gosier. I am the Good Trouble campaigner for the Hip Hop Caucus, Civil and Human Rights Division, and we are about to get into some good trouble. In the A, I'm your homegirl from Georgia, love being here, so we're going to destroy that myth that there are outsiders causing ruckus about stopping Cop City. Okay? So, I just want to give a big shout out to Yanazda Halonwolf. Yes. The movement for Black Lives. Saving Ourselves, Brother Marcus Coleman. Until Freedom, Song Power, and Community Movement Builders. Because we are putting our foot on the necks of over-policing and militarization in the dirty South. So now I'm going to turn this thing over to Queen Sheba, and she's just going to drop some great energy and get this thing moving for us. And we're going to have this insightful and lovely conversation. And we're going to get to our goal of 70,000 signatures by August 15th. Okay? All right now.
What's up, y'all? Not at all. I live in the SWATs. I'm from here. So, what's up, y'all? It's good to see y'all, good to meet y'all. Can you tell me your names on 3? 1, 2, 3, tell me your names. Give thanks and praise. I'm Queen Sheba, unless it's a W9, and then I'm Beth Sheba Ram. That's how you can find me on Facebook if you're over 40. If you're on IG and TikTok, I'm the Queen Sheba on all things, and I'm the owner and founder of Poetry vs. Hip Hop. And we do some great and amazing, thought-provoking, and leadership things here in the community. Y'all say yeah? Y'all say hell yeah? That's what's up. I'm gonna mash a poem or two together. I've been a spoken word artist for 22 years. I kind of got one of them Grammy nods under me. I was under on Robert Glasper's album. Y'all know him? Remember Usher? I mean, not Usher. Chris Brown didn't know who Robert Glasper was. Y'all remember that from a couple months ago? They will hunt you. Leave gravel in your cheeks, scars across your forehead, brand your arms and call you a club, a band of brothers. They will force guns in your hands and call you peacekeepers, microchip your shoulders and release you to the wolves. With white gloves, they will run their fingers across your baseboards. They will run you down, wear you out, pull the plug on the sun, cut it off by the electric box, meter your usage and charge you for becoming too bright. They will hunt you to confuse you. They will drip through the mesh of the faucets kept loose by landlords as interest, holding your family hostage like collateral damage, leave blood on the leaves to scare you. Look up. They will ask you to prove your poverty on a dotted line in triplicate while your babies are screaming from the burn of diaper rash or the toxins from Similac. Demand proof of life. Upload pictures of your children on the playground in real time. Yes, they will. They will surely anticipate your birth with pine box and serial number. But hopefully the stones he throws at his project windows will be the only rocks he slings. But he's already made friends with Lola, the once Project Beauty Queen, voted most likely to leave, but now she's a fiend, voted most likely to give brain to your team. He's your normal 6-year-old product of the ghetto, where after-school programs started at 3 are replaced by Little Debbie's for dinner and a latchkey. Afternoons are spent playing cop lookout, picked up by high-rolling hustlers as a little Boy Scout can be prepared to learn how to maneuver through the hood's drug route and push crack rock where the population drops. But if his family was there, then maybe the trees that made him expect F's and settle for C's could be changed to A's and B's while seeking a college degree. But his father's gone, his mother's never at home, so his will to be anything more than a rock-slinging lookout is already gone. See, the ghetto doesn't produce strippers and hoes, but if that's the way her mother goes, when else would she know? She believes that if she changes her eyes to green and wears enough blonde weave, when men pull out, it won't really be her they get up to leave. See, this is a war against every family that's left their children in despair. Because if her family was there, then maybe her mother could have told her that 10 years at the same fast food joint doesn't make life better because your new promotion gives you keys to that register. Because we need change now. See, the times have passed where the revolution is burning down buildings with a match and an aerosol can. But if you don't think this is a war, how many families do you know that have to keep their homes warm by opening their stove? To keep their heat bills low? To keep their electric bills low? How many crack rocks do they have to push every day? But you go home and teach your child to vote and expect them to be reflections of you so they can be proud of everything in the mirror that looks just like them and just like you. Thank you so much. My name is Queen Sheba. I appreciate y'all. Y'all follow me on Poetry versus Hip Hop and at the Queen Sheba.
Can you all hear me? Good. Thank you, Queen Sheba. I am looking for... All right, but we're just going to keep moving right along. So good evening, everyone. My name is Kadada Esmera Gray, and I am an outsider. But I have lived here for 18 years, and I am about the people. And the harm against people is not my jam. I'm going to say it that way. It's just not my jam, right? So here in Atlanta, I work as a political consultant. I'm also a movement consultant. I have a social justice training company with some of these wonderful people have been actually on doing national trainings, but you all aren't here to hear me. So before we move into hearing all of these awesome voices, let me just introduce to you our panelists. And I've got all of this, but I promise I'm going to give you all the highlights because we have a movement to keep building. We have some social constructs actually that we need to break down, right? We have some challenges that we need to bring to the forefront that need to be addressed as well as spoken aloud, right? Because there is a great silence about Cobb City. Months ago, I think it was probably about 4 months ago, Reverend Kiana and I, she was actually on, and she was telling the national audience about Cobb City. What is it? And I mean, I feel like we need a 101 still, even though this train has been moving for years. It's time for us to wake up. It's time for us to be engaged. The train is moving and we still need people to jump on it. Ticket or no ticket, get on. And that's what we're really trying to get people to do in Atlanta. So I'm gonna start with KJ Henson. Hey, brother. I love this. Let me tell you something. Welcome him, y'all. So I just love the fact that his name of his organizations are Black Men Build and Black Male Initiative Georgia. Come through. I love it. He was born and raised here in Atlanta. He's 27 years old. Okay, I'm old. 27 years old, grassroots organizer, union print shop owner. Word. Okay, so like I said, I'm in politics, so I'm always looking for union shops. Shout out to the unions, okay? And he is a father of 2. And let me just say this, I think it's important to note, right? He says in 2020, He found himself transitioning from serial entrepreneur to grassroots organizer. Imagine that leap and that path. And amid endless days of demonstrations, because we know what life has been like since 2020 for Black and brown people, KJ he became emotionally charged, right? That's what I like. He got lit up. For all of us New Yorkers. He got lit up, and emotionally charged protesters he wanted to work with registered voters, getting people registered to vote with no organization to represent. I love it. That's awesome work. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next up, we have Tiffany Williams Roberts from the Southern Center for Human Rights. Y'all know about that organization, right? All right. Okay, so Ms. Roberts is a criminal defense and civil rights attorney currently serving as Director of Public Policy Unit at the Southern Center for Human Rights. You know I want to ask you what you think about clearance, but we're going to leave that alone. That's a whole other conversation for another day. We're not going to talk about that today. While a public defender with the Atlanta Judicial Circuit, she co-founded Building Locally to Organize for Community Safety. BLOCKS is the acronym, a community organization that successfully led a campaign to disband the Red Dog Unit. How many of you all know about the Red Dog Unit? All right. So good work, sis. I'm going to let her continue her story in a little bit, but I'll tell you up here, this panel right here, the breadth of knowledge, the intellect here, the social justice work is amazing. We're missing a brother here, so we are going to go with Miss Reverend Kiana Jones with Community Movement Builders. She is a political and social justice activist and community organizer with the Faith Coalition. How many of you all know about the Faith Coalition here in Georgia? Right, holding it down. Because we need a lot of faith and hope in this space. Spirituality is key when you do this work. Let me just say that again. Spirituality is key when you do this work because it is tiring. Okay? We need all of it. She staunchly advocates for quality, affordable child care. Come on, I love that. And equity in education, which that in and of itself. Before moving back to Georgia, she left. Where'd you go? She went to Rosedale, New Jersey. Where she was doing community work over there too. And where she eventually was elected to the Board of Education. Girl, you ain't told me that. You ain't say that on the show. So when she went to Rosedale, she got on the school board. Amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Even Mariah was like, wait, what? All right. Then we have new mommy, my homegirl. Because like I said, I'm a New Yorker. Mariah Parker, badass activist. That my sister girl over here. How many of y'all know about Mariah? Woo! I'm telling you. Now, I ain't seen Mariah in a minute, so I was kind of rude because I really asked to see the baby first, but that was okay. Y'all understand. Y'all understand how this works. So she is a linguistic scholar, a former Georgia County Commissioner, one of the youngest, was that it? The youngest. I love it. A rapper. Okay, I'm gonna have to tell you. You're gonna have to tell them the name of it because I can't pronounce it.
Lingua franca.
All right.
Make rap music under the name Lingua franca.
Yes, I love it. And an organizer with Raise Up the South, the Southern arm for the fight for $15 and the union workers movement. I love it. We are doing good works. If you haven't found your space in the work, I promise you there's a lane for you. Okay, from education to farm work to unions to everything. So we are a tad bit behind, but right now we are going to start with one of the fundamental questions, right? So, okay, we got to test the mics. So, Ms. Tiffany, we would like you to offer context for us, right, on policing in Atlanta. To help frame this conversation. So you can help the viewing audience, everyone in this room to get a real framework and help people like me. I've lived here for 18 years, so I don't know a lot about the Red Dogs. I don't know about certain things about what happens in Atlanta proper. And I'm going to say Atlanta proper because not the folks in Gwinnett. So, because that's not Atlanta. That's not Atlanta. So, and just even tell us a little bit about the work that you did to have to get the Red Dog unit disbanded.
Sure. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring. Who knows the name of the Goody Mob song that references the Red Dog Unit? What's the name of the song? Okay, and what's the line? 1 to the 2 to 3, them dirty red dogs done hit the door and they got everybody on their hands and knees, and they ain't gonna leave until they find them keys. Right? So there are lots of people around the country who knew that line, had no idea what it was about. The Red Dog Unit, it was Atlanta's response to the war on drugs. During a period of time following the Rockefeller drug laws, following the 1994 crime bill, cities all over the country decided that they could segment the way that drugs were regulated and enforced in our country. And it was racially segregated. And so the war on drugs was a war against black people. The fact is that drugs are used and sold by all races, or by black people and white people at the same rates, used and sold, right? But there were not white communities with battering rams. So the Red Dog Unit was notoriously violent. The violence of the Red Dog Unit really knew no bounds. I am from Atlanta. My dad was born in Atlanta in Summerhill in 1935. I always say that. I don't have one man in my family, my dad is now 88 years old, who has not had an abusive encounter with the Red Dog Unit. Not one, right? Not one. They're known as the Jump Out Boys, right? My very first motion as a law student was against the Red Dog officer, and I won. My very first motion as a lawyer was against the Red Dog officer, and I won, right? Because it was just that much violence. The Red Dog Unit was responsible for things like Atlanta's strip search scandal, where people in the West End and Southwest Atlanta were stopped and strip searched, cavity searches, and when they would show up to court, we would say, "Judge, he was strip searched," and the cops would say, "Never happened, never happened." And it would blow over. And so there were enough of those cases for that to be a scandal. But the Red Dog Unit was disbanded, one, after they raided a white gay bar in Midtown called the Eagle. Well, it's not in Midtown, it's like on Ponce, which has some gentrification now, but I don't know what it's called now. But they raided it, they laid people on the ground, they searched, they had them laying on the ground in their underwear for hours. And from that grew a lawsuit. And during that period of time, the strip search scandal, right, and it was in the wake of the killing of Katherine Johnston, who was a grandmother in the Bluff, where English Avenue, who was killed and murdered by a task force that was Atlanta Red Dog officers and some federal officers. In that case, they made up information from a supposed informant to give them access to her home, and eventually the informant came clean. So the short of it is that the Red Dog was disbanded by Mayor Reed. Building Locally to Organize for Community Safety was one of the leaders of that, and it was reformed as the Apex unit. Now we have other tactical units, and so racism and police violence is adaptable. It changes names, but the function doesn't change. And so from Red Dogs to Cop City, really there is no transition. There is a different name. And so the name now is the Titan Unit, right? And Cop City, but it's all the same violence, all the same history linked to chattel slavery, all the same abuses, right? And so that's why I, of course, oppose Cop City, but Southern Center also opposes Cop City because our mission is to decriminalize race and poverty, and the police are ground zero for that.
Thank you. That's a history. That's a real history. I'm just going to ask you to clarify because I didn't catch the new name of what is it renamed to now? What is the new current name?
So there is the Titan Unit, and they say that they're focusing on gangs, guns, and drugs. And then there is something called, it's a long name, but there's a tactical unit for traffic, which is essentially like New York stop and frisk, but for traffic. And that is the roadway version of these tactical units. Okay,
thank you. Wow. I'm gonna come back to you in a second because I'm gonna ask Mariah, could you give us a overview and a description of what Cop City really is. I had a conversation earlier today, just by happenstance, by a black police officer who, I was like, sometimes God leads phone calls to land a certain way. And I got a whole education based on a black police officer's version, and it left me in awe. So what is your understanding as a former politician, as an activist, as a grassroots, and I want to say, and he was for it. So what is your understanding of
I need to know what this man's understanding was of this situation. We got to circle back to that.
We'll talk about that.
So Cop City, for those who are not yet familiar, is a allegedly $90 million police militarization complex that is slated to replace large swaths of the South River Forest, which is the largest urban forest in North America. It is going to be, if built, a driver of environmental degradation across the city. Anyone else having a hard time breathing today? Anyone else having a hard time? Anyone else here know that the neighborhoods in Southwest Atlanta already have the 9th worst air quality in the United States of America? So without the lungs of Atlanta, big tree canopies like those in the South River Forest, what do you think will happen in the city of Atlanta? We're going to have a lot more days like today. So Cop City is not only a threat to the city of Atlanta in a lot of the ways that Tiffany described, the continuation of histories of police terror and brutality, it is also a main driver of environmental racism to come for our children who are going to grow up with asthma, who are going to grow up having a lot of different health conditions because of a lack of healthy air to breathe and clean water to drink, because of the ways that this facility is already, and the usage of this land is already impacting watersheds that people get their drinking water from right now. Atlanta's alleged Cop City that they proposed to build is also ground zero in a lot of ways, because we've already seen documents uncovered by open records requests by very savvy journalists here in the city, uncovering the fact that they are intending to train police officers, not just from Atlanta here, but people from all over the state of Georgia and all over the country. And there is nothing to say that they won't also train police officers from all over the world here as well, given relationships that the Atlanta Police Department already have with folks like the Israeli Defense Forces, who come and bring their people here to train and vice versa. And so I'm so glad to be here with y'all this evening to talk about how this is going to impact the people of Atlanta, but this fight is also for the future of public safety in the South and across the country. Because a lot of the tactics that Tiffany was describing that will inevitably be perpetuated at this facility are going to be exported to cities across the South to ensure the put down of people's movements across the South and the terrorization of Black communities across the South. I don't know if you wanted to speak some to the Red Dog Unit getting back in the news earlier this year. Yeah, do you want to speak to that? Speaking of the exportation of police terror from Atlanta to other places.
I'm gonna stop you, because you guys will know the name, you will know the history, you watch the news, you will know the story. And if we're connecting the dots here, right? So I may have a deer in headlights look on occasion because I'm such in awe about the harm that we can do to each other in the quote unquote United States of America. But it's continued. It's continued, and actually there's a movement around this too, because we got cops moving from place to place that are doing harm too. Go ahead, Sister Tiffany.
That's right. So I'm a Black Southerner. I love Black cities, and so Memphis is one of my favorite cities. The police chief in the Memphis Police Department, who was responsible for the officers who killed Tyree Nichols, was also a commander in the Red Dog Unit. So it speaks to how there were allegations against her and her unit at the time that she transitioned, where you and I, if I get a bad reference from my current employer, it's going to be very difficult to get a job, let alone a job as a chief of anything. but that's not the way the policing works. And so there's been some coverage of that connection, and Michael Julian Bond, one of our city council members, said, well, Atlanta has nothing to do with that because obviously Memphis has problems that we don't have, because those officers are doing things Atlanta officers know not to do because we have the best police department in the nation. Yet Atlanta sustains 8% of complaints against its officers. 8% of citizen complaints related to violence are sustained, meaning they find that there's some basis in fact for those complaints. And so our city is delusional. And we've got to be very clear that as black cities, it doesn't mean that our elected officials don't do harm. It doesn't matter what rappers they know. It doesn't matter what t-shirts they wear. It doesn't matter if they march. If they are making your children and future generations less free, they are not with you.
That's right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to stay here for a second because you guys have given us a history. You guys are starting to connect the dots for us. And so for me, the New York girl via the Caribbean, I have to ask a question, right? So I need some history from the United States. So you said the Red Dog Unit was in response to the war on drugs, right? What is currently the war in Atlanta? Because I don't hear us talking about there's a war on drugs in Atlanta. What is this cop city? Why is this building needed? Why is the police foundation? Y'all don't call me because I ain't getting a donation. But what is the war? Who are we fighting? Who are we fighting? I'm gonna have you guys start now.
May I? Right now. This is a war on the uprising of 2020.
Okay.
This is in the aftermath of the largest uprisings in North America.
Okay.
The Atlanta Police Foundation, who is the main driver and the main funder, and actually the owner of Cop City. I keep forgetting the fact that this is not actually going to be owned by the city. The Atlanta Police Foundation trying to reassert their control over black communities. At a time when people are starting to understand that communities are made safer by affordable housing and healthcare and childcare and education, and where their supremacy in the public safety apparatus has been challenged. Their dominance has been challenged. And so in response to that uprising, they seized hold of a narrative that more police training, more diversity in our officers would be the magic key to heal all the wounds in our communities and to actually deliver a style of policing that serves the people. And so with that, they were able to make arguments that Cop City would be the answer to allegedly rising crime rates, heal all these divides, et cetera, when at the end of the day, it's a form of counterinsurgency. The people rose up, and so this is the police rising up in response to reassert their dominance.
Okay, what an answer. What do you think, Tinky?
I want us to know that cop cities are being proposed all over the country.
True, very true.
Very true.
True.
Cop Academy in Chicago is one iteration. I'm getting text messages from friends all over the country with their police departments' proposals. Because Atlanta is believed to be a progressive city, Cop City here means cop cities everywhere, because it means the militarization of police in black communities is a non-partisan issue. It is an issue where consolidated state power agrees regardless of political party. So it's critical that we understand that, one, there is no statistical data demonstrating that Cop City will help anyone.
That's right.
Secondly, the Atlanta Police Foundation has been looking to increase its footprint in the city for years and years. Hooks and I organized a table sit at a festival in like 2015, and it was because we wanted to protest the closure of the Southeast's largest no-barrier homeless shelter in Peachtree and Pine. What Kasim Reed said at the time is that the city was going to acquire that building and they were going to turn it into a domestic terrorism training facility to combat domestic terrorism. Okay? What are we seeing Cop City protesters charged with for the very first time in the state's history? The domestic terrorism statute had never been used since until Cop City, right? So the game that the Atlanta Police Foundation plays is finding real estate, attaching the veneer of public safety interests, and then moving our cowardly city legislators and leaders to do what they say they need to have done. So Cop City is just a 10 times bigger facility than what was promised at Peachtree and Pine, which, by the way, hasn't become anything.
It sits empty. It sits empty. Yeah, thank you, ladies. I am going to shift us just a little bit about who is in this conversation. Where do we think this conversation is going? You know, like I said earlier, there is a true silence around Cobb City, from where I live to south to all different areas of the city. And so, KJ, I have a question for you. So a little context. We know there was a poll by 2 Emory professors, Emory here in Atlanta, revealed a racial divide, no surprise, supporting Cobb City. Also, we don't have time to talk about the City of Buckhead movement, but we'll leave that alone. But I do believe that one was given for the other, but that's just me. In a nutshell, the study showed engaged white voters supported Cobb City, right? And engaged black voters are opposed to Cobb City. Now, the professors believe that unengaged voters, black voters, will ultimately decide what happens with Cobb City, right? So we have a portion that, okay, can we just stop and say, I like logical stuff, so if they're unengaged, I don't know how they're going to get to vote, but that's a whole other conversation. That's just not logical. So, question for you. So, how do we get the quote-unquote unengaged voters involved in this conversation? Why and what is the values that we need to present to them to get connected?
So first I want to say, we're clear that the police are not our protectors, right? We suffer at the hands of the system on a daily basis, right? The system was built on our backs, literally. So we see that we've been discarded, we've been abused by the system, and that's the point. It's not that we're disengaged because we don't care, we're disengaged because we do care, right? Every election cycle, it's black voters to the rescue. Every time there's legislation to be moved, it's black voters to the rescue. We put Biden in office, Warnock, Ossoff. Would have put Stacey there if they didn't steal that shit. But it is what it is, right? We're the folks that are most impacted by the decisions of the same elected officials that beg us to put them in position. We suffer because these people come to us and beg for votes, for canvassers, for money, and they turn around and they sell us out the first chance they get. So we're disengaged of a matter of, I can't get what I need from these people that say that they're for me, right? The very means of the people are at risk. Cop City threatens our very right to protest, right? Cop City threatens the right for us to stand in the street and use our voice as a means of building collective power, as a vehicle for making societal change. You become a domestic terrorist. You get jailed without bail, without bond. You won't have a court date. I've been there myself. Not for domestic terrorism, but just with no court date. So we're seeing the rise of fascism in a very real way. Like in the realest of ways. Cop City, like you said, is ground zero for what will become a very popular trend, not just in America, but across the world, right? So it's on us to make sure that we do everything that's in our power to make sure that this thing is stopped. So, but just to speak more to what it is, right? Cop City is giving police the training and ability to have urban warfare and suppression tactics at their will to be used against the people, Urban warfare and suppression. Not unlike what we see in other countries, in other cities, with organized resistance everywhere. We're seeing people shot in the streets in South Africa. We're seeing people shot in the street in France, in South America. Atlanta is about to be the same place the minute we allow this thing to take precedent. So I think it's not a question of how we get people engaged. It's how we get them to do anything and everything possible to make this thing stop, to get us to see some reform, to get $90 million in real services, in real change to happen in this city. To fill every single pothole probably wouldn't even be $90 million. Right. So that's where I'm at.
So I'm going to push back just a little bit. I'm going to challenge you just a little bit, right? Because we do need engagement, right? We do need people to come in tune, and I will say it that way because I don't want to say wake up because I think we're already woke. I think we're tired, actually, of how woke we are, and we need a rest, actually. We need a break. And so, but how do I get a 25-year-old who is making the best day of their lives, meaning they woke up, they got breakfast, they are living life, they're able to go to work if they have a job, because they might still be trying to hustle up a job. But what do we say to them in this next upcoming cycle? And we are going to hold fast in the prayer and the truth that this will become a referendum, that they need to come out and vote for this because, yes, they're tired, but they may not even know about Cobb City. How do we get that in front of them? How do we get them to understand that this is your life? Like, this is your life. This is not today. This is literally when you have grandkids or you have babies, and this is, how do we get them engaged that way?
So it starts with meeting people where they're at, specifically the youth, right? We're talking about 25 younger, 30 and younger. These are folks who are engaged heavily in activities based in a capitalist society. We have to let them know that capitalism will not save you.
Sorry, I said that too loud. Sorry.
It won't.
That spoke to my heart.
It was a hard lesson that I had to learn myself in 2019 and 2020. Capitalism is not going to keep you safe when the police are standing across from you and they got their guns drawn, because legally they can do what they want to do. You will not see a day in court. You do not have any rights. It is you and it's APD. It's you and it's GBI. And they decide what freedoms you have. They decide what liberties you have.
Lord, did somebody put that on TikTok? I ain't on TikTok, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I need y'all to...
Capitalism will not save you.
I'm getting there on TikTok one day, but that right there. Can we put that on a t-shirt? Because I need that on a t-shirt.
I'll put it on a t-shirt. You and your print shop. Yeah, come check me out.
Thank you. Because the movement needs some money. So I like that answer. I need to sit with that for a second, because capitalism will not save you, but the young people need to know that. Because when you're trying to be an influencer and you're trying to run coins and you're not really studying anything, you're not reading anything. I bought the New York Times today. They looked at me like I was crazy. And I was just like, listen, I need this historical moment. If the Supreme Court is going to screw us over in the way they have in the last 48 hours, I need that documented, okay? I need that historically documented. I want to see it, and I don't want to Google it, because I might Google something wrong. So next question is, so now we know that we have the politicians that's a whole other conversation about how black politicians do us. But then I also want to ask, Reverend, I know you grew up here, right? And you grew up near this proposed site. So I want you to kind of give us just an understanding of your life growing up in that area, what you know to be true and your truth around that. But then I want to probably ask one of the hardest things for Black Atlantans to, how do I want to say this, part ways with. So as someone who runs political campaigns, I know how people love certain politicians. I know I've come to learn, right? Let me honor that. I've come to learn that especially our elders really love some of our black politicians that I'm like, on paper, they're looking, but they're really raggedy policy-wise. So I have a question for you. So I want you to tell us, you were living close to you grew up close to the site. I want you to tell us kind of a history of that from your perspective. And then I want to ask a question of you to tell us some ways that, how can Black Atlanta kind of break the spirit of we've got to love certain politicians? Because I know Mayor Andre is loved, right? I saw the t-shirts, right? How do we get them to understand, I can love you and not support everything that you do, and this is bad for our community?
Well, the first thing they got to do is stop listening to the concerned black clergy, because they rubber stamp everything he does. There is not one pastor who is a member of the concerned black clergy who has decided to take a stand, and Andre Dickens runs to them for his Men's Warehouse commercials every time he does a press conference when he can get them, right? And then they go around and say things like,
Hold on, sis.
we need police.
Hold on. You're not going to throw.
K and G? K and G. Okay, D and K. Well, I don't get my clergy outfits from over there. I probably can't shop where they shop because I am not worthy. They have already made it known they want nothing to do with me, and that is fine because I don't want to have anything to do with them because I'm just like Jesus. Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I have never known you, and I'm glad I don't. But from what I do know is that I know a few of them to be terrible liars because I have been in the rooms when they have lied to the parents who have lost their children to police brutality and said that they would build bridges, but they never did. Now, Andre Dickens want to sit up there and talk about, what is it? He don't draw lines, he draws circles. He draws circles because he's confused. He's chasing his tail, trying to understand where his public policy will come from. This is a mayor who has absolutely no policy and has done nothing substantive for this city. He hangs his hat on midnight basketball, and I can assure you that more adults attend midnight basketball than so-called at-risk youth. And while we are talking about at-risk youth, I was an at-risk youth growing up in Southeast Atlanta, right by the South River Forest, because that environmental racism that Mariah said is to come, it's been there, baby. We've seen this before. I grew up with it. You know what I was at risk for? I was at risk for asthma. I was at risk for lead poisoning because we had landfills right there by my house that they didn't care about what I was breathing when I walked outside to walk up into East Atlanta Village. What we also had all the time is pollution in the South River. It is right now the second most polluted body of water in the United States of America. So when we talk about a mayor and we talk about what he's doing, Mayor Dickens is not the first one to ignore East Atlanta. From the time I've been in this world, East Atlanta, Southeast Atlanta has been ignored. And I'm talking about from Little 5 Points all the way down to Gresham Park and over to Kirkwood. That area has been neglected by each mayor of the city of Atlanta because even Maynard, as much as I love him, didn't do nothing for Southeast Atlanta. And I know that from growing up there. So the one time that the city of Atlanta decides to tap into that little pocket of Southeast Atlanta that is also unincorporated DeKalb County,
that's right,
which has been the excuse for ignoring it all this time.
Yep.
The one time you want to come over here and you want to do something where I grew up, where my granny still has her house that they will never take.
Come on. Come on.
The one time you decide to come, you want to cut down 380 out of 381 acres of trees to build what you call an 85-acre public training facility, but that's 85 acres spread out. That's not 85 acres grouped together. That's going to be more than 85 acres of trees that are being destroyed in the midst of a global climate crisis. We're having trouble breathing today because of fires up north.
Right.
But imagine if they were to put a burn tower right there without trees,
right,
without the South River watershed. Then what would it be like? When asked at the last MPUW meeting why he would not put this facility in another area. Mayor Dickens answered, because some high school is there. Oh, but what about McNair Senior High School? Oh, that other high school got too many white children that go to it because they cannot afford to breathe in pollutants. But the students at McNair Senior High School are expendable, just like I was as a child, just like my relatives were, just like my 8-year-old son was, because he woke up and went to sleep to gunfire from the existing gun range. I literally lived right behind that forest until about 2 months ago. I had to move because my child couldn't take it. He was always anxious and nervous. Every time he heard a loud sound, my baby's hitting the floor and trying to run and hide. Why is that okay for black Daniel to experience that? Because white Daniel don't deserve that. We can't put that in another neighborhood and disturb their peace, but my children don't deserve to live in peace.
So sis, I'm gonna ask you again. How do we break that relationship?
Think about what he's doing. I want every black Atlantan to think about what you don't have. If you don't have affordable housing, it's because they putting the money in the Cop City. If you can't pay your light bill, it's because that assistance got given back to the federal government, but they paying for Cop City. If there are no policing alternatives and diversion initiatives in your community, it's because they giving the money to Cop City. If you fell into that pothole on Ponce de Leon, it's because they giving the money to Cop City. If you can't walk out of your door and breathe clean air, it's because they rather give it to Cop City. If you as a person cannot go to your city council and you live in this city of Atlanta, and you live in Vine City, and Byron Amos ain't talked to you about the lead levels in the water that the EPA has been doing site remediation for and encourage you to get that done, it's because he rather vote for Cop City and he don't give a damn about your water. So Andre Dickens does not care about black people. I'm gonna do a Kanye West right now, but I'm saying Andre Dickens don't care about black people, and Andre Dickens ain't no different than nobody else. And some of those other council people up there who have those so-called legacy names ain't doing nothing for black people. Michael Julian Bond don't want to be compared to his father, but he touts his name every chance he gets. But his father sold out too, was willing to do anything just to run against John Lewis for Congress way back in the day. He didn't care about friendship, he didn't care about community, and he didn't care about the city of Atlanta or the people he was supposed to represent. So once again, what is Andre Dickens doing for you? If he is willing to take police and make sure that they got SWAT tanks to roll around in, they walking around with ARs in your neighborhood, your children walking out the house to hearing gunshots constantly, what do Andre Dickens care about you? Does his children hear that?
So I'm gonna stop.
Okay. Go ahead and stop me, right? Why? Go ahead and stop me.
There is something to be said about when you're in the know, right? Because when you're in the know, we get the cheers. When you are on the opposite side, you go, wait a minute, I feel it's okay if my children have to endure the shotguns. It's okay if they endure without having healthy water. It's okay if they have to endure for whatever reason, because I know I've been able to stay here, I've been able to keep my community, and that's truth, and we have to talk about that inside of black culture. Welcome to the world, white people. But we need to have that conversation, right? Because we know we have a portion of our people who feel they're comfortable in where they're at, okay? I'm real clear, I have privilege, okay? A lot of us have privilege. And we know, some of us have to know better to do better. Some of us have to be able to reflect something different. Some of us can move because we don't want our babies to take it anymore, right? But what I do know is we still have a gap. Because I will never forget, a few months ago, I saw an elder sister going, I'm scared. I'm okay with Cop City. Bring it. What do I tell to an elder sister who is like, I am scared because this affects all of us, all age ranges. And so what are we doing? Mariah, I'm going to ask you, what do we say to that?
I do feel like Reverend Jones answered the question, though, in not necessarily telling someone the answer, but asking them the question the politicians never ask, which is, what would you like to see with $100 million?
Okay. Katherine Johnston was scared too.
Yes, she was. She was. Tiffany, what do you think?
We have been for about a year talking to cohorts of people from the city. Atlanta is divided into police zones. So we've been talking to people from zones 1 through 6 individually and then putting them together, asking what safety means to them, asking how they feel about responses to harm that don't involve law enforcement, right? Because what we know is that the United States of America, because of its relationship to chattel slavery, has a very unique way of policing.
Yes.
So I've been doing advocacy before the United Nations now for about a year. And when we talk about what's happening in Atlanta, they are floored. Because Biden sent Andre over there to talk about ending systemic racism, right? And that was wild. But when we talk to them about our statistics, they can't even process our pretrial detention, right? That you got to pay $100,000 to get out of jail before you're even tried, right? So part of this is removing police from the equation. Police spend most of their time at traffic stops. You know there are entire countries that don't use police for traffic stops. Where does most of the violence occur in our communities when we're talking about use of force? Pursuant to traffic stops. Because they're looking to smell the strong odor of burnt marijuana. The other thing that they use in their police reports is furtive glance, right? They have templates for purport narratives. In Ferguson, they found that the police officers were just popping names into a mail merge document, generating police reports with these key elements. And so some of this we have to acknowledge that Atlantans have been talking to this city about non-law enforcement responses to harm for a very long time. And we have been winning. Mayor Dickens sponsored the legislation to reimagine the Atlanta City Detention Center. We spent thousands of community hours for recommendations, and people were on one accord. People agreed. So there, of course, are people who may say, I feel unsafe. But the question is, what are we responding with? Because police don't keep us safe. It's statistically supported, it's anecdotally supported, right? And it's dishonest. What Mayor Dickens has done. And I ask you all, every black-led public safety or community safety organization, legal reform organization is on the other side of this administration. Every single one. And so are the people. Only 13% of registered voters in Atlanta elected this man. And how did it happen? Because he sat up in a church and lied to Peoplestown and told them that he would let them stay in their homes if he was elected and he made it to the runoff. Were that not said, he would not be the mayor of Atlanta. So he's building his legacy on Ms. Darden and Tanya Washington and those of us who taught him about the criminal legal system. So it is our job to have these tiny conversations and these big conversations about what actually makes people safe. We cannot retreat, we cannot get tired, and we got to put some money on it. We paid everybody that came to all of our meetings, and we will continue to do that because we understand your time is valuable. But we have to be clear that policy is concrete, right? It is not a feeling. It's not a vibe. It's not police morale. Where is the morale of the community? When I know that if I send my baby cousin to the store, I live in Southwest Atlanta. I live in 30311 or 30331. If I send my cousin to the store, I don't know what greets him on the way back home because my clients that I represented as a public defender were beaten and maimed on the way to the store. And so that is a real and concrete thing. And the sad thing is Mayor Dickens was trained up by us on public safety, and he has turned his back. He knows the right thing to do. He refuses to do it because the Atlanta Police Foundation and Buckhead and the conservative state legislature will not allow him to do that.
And I am going to say thank you. We are not going to leave you, but we do have a town hall where we want to hear your reflection points, right? And so we want you all we're actually going to come off the stage, but thank you, Mariah. She's like, I can get off of here. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you all for being here, Reverend and KJ. And so The time is not our friend when we have so many thoughts. I'm actually going to turn this over to Brother Coleman, and we're going to transition off the stage. Give us 1 second. All right. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, y'all. I know y'all been sitting here. You've been hearing some history and some brilliance. And maybe at a certain point, this started to feel like a bit of a TV show, like a really engaging documentary. I don't know if y'all know, but you have a job tonight. Did someone tell you you signed up for a job when you walked in? Nobody told you? No. Okay, the pay is questionable. You know, it's appetizers. We're paying y'all in appetizers. Okay? Y'all's job is to get skilled up, to practice talking about Cop City to the people you love. Because we're not just here to educate y'all, right? Y'all are brilliant human beings. You have education already in your brain. But what we are here to do, and what these panelists did so lovely, is we are here to ignite y'all to go out and talk to 5 more people over the next month. 5 people over the next month. Now you might be like, Che, I just came to this event. I just learned about Cop City 5 minutes ago. I don't know about that. I feel nervous. I want y'all to look on your seats. Some of y'all have some cards on your seats. Y'all see them? Put them in there if you got them. All those cards have questions on them. I want you to turn to your neighbor. We're going to bring a little church in here. I want you to turn to your neighbor. Okay. And I want you to ask them the question on your card. And I want you to listen to their answer. Not pretending that you're listening because you're coming up with your answer, but really listening to your neighbor, okay? And then we're going to switch. Now, why are we doing this? Because we're getting you ready, right? We're training you up. We're getting practice so that we can talk about safety together, so it feels comfortable. Anybody do any kind of sports? Any athletes out here? Come on, athletes. Who else? Okay. There's a beautiful, beautiful statistic, somatic statistic. You know when folks are training for the Olympics? Say I'm a runner and I'm training for the Olympics. I want to do everything I can to be a really skilled runner. So I'm going to look back at the video of my practice, right? I'm going to see what I can do to change. Maybe I want to bring my arm in a little bit. Now, how many times do you think I need to bring my arm in order to have muscle memory, in order to do that kind of automatically? Give me some numbers. What y'all think? Every single time, but how many? 6. What you got? 15. What else? 200. 300 times. I got to bring my elbow in, so I remember how to do that. But I'm not just doing that like down the street on the belt line. I'm doing this at the Olympics. And so under the pressure of being at the Olympics, how many times do you think I need to practice bringing my arm in? Mary, don't be answering no questions. 3,000 repetitions. That's how many repetitions I need under pressure. The pressure of talking to your neighbor about stopping Cop City for the first time. The pressure of going to your church and talking to your deacon and saying, I want to make an announcement. The pressure of maybe getting some neighbors together and going to your NPU meeting. That's the kind of practice we have to have in order to feel comfortable under that pressure. So we are here together. It's a safe space, you know what I mean? Like, no one's going to yell at you if you say the wrong thing. So this is your laboratory to practice right now. Turn to your neighbor. We're going to give you 5 minutes to have a little conversation, and we're going to come back together.
So just real quick while you're talking, when you finish with this conversation, this panel was so powerful. I mean, I know I hate to interrupt right now, but please give this panel one more round of applause real quick, because I mean, this thing was powerful. Ooh-wee. They worried about me and how I call out people. I don't know what they're worried about me for. After you all do this, any questions that you have, just let me know after you finish this conversation. For the panelists, direct you up here, up under the light. They asked for you to come up under the light for video purposes. Any questions or comments you have for this panel? All right, peace.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on our live stream today. This is the Hip Hop Caucus in Atlanta in regards to stopping Cop City. We've heard some very powerful voices on the panel. They're doing sort of an interactive thing in the audience right now, and then we're going to follow that up with a Q&A. Please stay tuned. Also, shout out to those that have donated to our campaign that we're running right now to raise resources for our trips. It costs a lot of money to go out into the road. We've been recently in East Palestine, obviously here in Atlanta, Tennessee, other places. So please, if you can give us money for our trips, go to our StatusCoup.com website, join as a member, or just donate one time. Even $2 would help. We appreciate it. We are not funded by corporate media, so your financial support actually matters to us quite a bit.
Y'all got one more minute with your partner.
Yeah, we helped them get there too. We did our little part. They should have kicked y'all out. Oh my God. Oh, we did the same thing. You know what the worst part about it is? The thing that makes it worse is that it's not just that you lied. It's that you were passionate about the lies you made. Right? So it's that's why I feel so like the way that I feel about it. Because now I have
beautiful conversations. So how many of you have filled out this? So show of hands, show of hands. Keep them up. How many of y'all don't know what this is? Oh, that makes me so happy. All right, okay. So one of the questions that was asked on the panel was, how do I get involved? What do I do to support? We need every single person in this room to support us getting signatures. Every single person, even if you don't live in Atlanta proper, even if you're visiting, even if you weren't registered for the last election, you can still help collect signatures with a buddy who is registered, who is an Atlanta citizen. So if you are excited about stopping Cop City, is anyone excited about it?
Yep.
We are.
I'm not judging y'all, but I'm judging y'all. Are y'all excited or what? Okay. All right. Y'all, they give y'all so much energy. I'm just trying to give it back to them. I want to see some folks at our table at the end of the night who are interested in helping us to get signatures. You got a church, you got a bike group, you got a neighborhood that you love, then that's your role. Okay. We had some beautiful panelists share some really dope history, and I want to make some space for y'all to do two things. One, ask questions, right here. Two, share what came out of your conversations. Now, don't share nobody's business, right? But give us the tea. Like, what did y'all talk about? Where did you get stuck? Where were you like, oh, I don't know how to answer that? Or I don't want to ask that question. It feels weird. What y'all got? Yeah, over here. Wait. Let's wait for a mic to get to you first. Or, look at this.
I tell you what, anybody that has any questions, raise your hand.
This person, and then right over here next. Okay. Yeah? Okay. How about you first?
Okay, let's do it like this.
Yes. Okay. So I'll answer both of your questions, and I'll try to be as fast as I can.
Thank you.
Our question was, you were given complete authority for one day. How do you hold those accountable who caused you harm? So the response that we got was essentially transformative justice. Do y'all know what transformative justice is?
School us.
So it's typically called restorative justice, but the problem with restorative justice is it comes from West Africa, Burkina Faso, where they have a society set up to make it work. We don't have that here. We don't have any justice to restore, hence transformative as opposed to restorative justice. I think the problem that we're coming up with, we don't have a solution for. The only way transformative justice can work is if society, our neighborhood, is set up to hold people accountable. And we don't have that here. So you asked where we got stuck, that's where we got stuck. Now I'm going to ask my question, if that's okay. We just came here, California. We are new to the area. We're now in Atlanta, so we aren't able to sign the form yet. We do activist work there, and we want to do it here. So we're trying to just hang out and figure out what's going on before we insert ourselves. We do not want to be those people from the outside inserting ourselves into your city. So we came here to figure out what's happening so that we can help properly. I work with a company called NACD, National Association of Chronic Disease Directors. So we have the ear of the entire nation, public health field, 50 states, 9 territories, tribes, pueblos, and nations as well, and human impact partners. Human impact partners just this morning asked about Cop City because they didn't hear about it, and NACDD has not heard about it. So they have tasked me to tell them about what's happening. I need hard facts as much as possible. I love the way you speak. If y'all can just help me with these hard facts that I can share with others so that they can help, we shouldn't have any troubles getting these 70,000 signatures, but I need your help getting those hard facts.
So we have a commitment to make some connections for some hard facts. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. For folks intrigued by the term transformative justice, there's a great website called transformharm.org. Transformharm.org, if you want to do your own research. Yes, we have another question coming up.
Okay, cool. So my question was, when you leave the house, what
In the mic.
So my question was, when you leave the house, what do you bring with you to feel safe? And my answer was, I kind of like stumbled on it because I wish I had more to bring with me to feel safe. But I said my phone and pepper spray. I guess that's good enough. That's all I've got. But, you know, I wish I had I wish I didn't have to think about how to make myself feel safe when I leave home space. You know what I mean? So that's mine.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah.
There was someone else over here with their hand up. Is it you, sister? Yeah. Nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Sister just said she's nervous. Did y'all see her perform earlier? Come on now. Drop that jewel on us in the form of poetry. Now you nervous. Come on now.
So, what's the lie being told about why the facility is being built?
I see why she was nervous.
Because, like I said, I live in Southwest Atlanta. And not only is our air bad, not only do we have an exuberant amount of police crossing Cascade and RDA and Lee Street and Lowry, and we don't have a close grocery store with healthy food, fresh water. So how do we, as average income Americans, not celebrities in Atlanta, combat $90 million? And I know you said it earlier, but I just wanted to say it again so I understand. Am I clear that Mayor Andre Dickens is the boss of the chief of police and could just easily say, don't do this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I think the biggest lie is that the facility is needed. It's not needed, it's wanted. There are multiple public safety training facilities throughout the state of Georgia. I think it's a matter of convenience, but I think more than anything, it's a matter of the fact that Mayor Dickens has this vanity project that he believes would be his legacy. Now, when you hear Councilman Michael Julian Bond speak, he always says that the facility we have is decrepit, is dilapidated, is this, is that, is the other. And then my question is, well, whose fault is that? Who was in charge of that, Councilman Bond? How long have you been on council, and what has your oversight been for whoever was responsible for that facility? Because again, if you bought your child a car, buy your child a Honda. They literally drive it until the wheels fall off, don't get no oil change, don't get the brakes done, don't get the tires changed, don't do nothing, right? Are you gonna go and then give your child more money to buy a Tesla? So if the city of Atlanta could not maintain what they had, why should taxpayers pay more than $67 million? More than $67 million, because the original amount that was stated was that the taxpayer portion would only be $30 million. How does it more than double? That's just simple math. If you were running a business and you wanted to buy something for your business and you had a projected cost, could you afford to go ahead and buy it for more than double if it was going to put you in the red? So then why would the city of Atlanta think that it's okay to take that from the taxpayers of the city of Atlanta so that they can build a facility? And when you talk about hard facts, a hard fact is that in the original plans, it was stated that this would have a mock city for training in quote-unquote urban warfare. Urban, meaning related to a metropolitan area, but unfortunately, unenlightened people think that urban means black. Now, how much training are we going to do in urban warfare when the urban area is completely white? Because gentrification is there, right? So I doubt that they would do this in a different area, but that area of Southeast Atlanta and unincorporated DeKalb is still heavily black, has not been hit hard with gentrification like many other black neighborhoods in the city of Atlanta. and they lie and say we have nowhere else to do this. And that's a lie. The city of Atlanta has a lot of blighted properties also that they could use to build a facility.
And I want to add something. Okay. If you go and look at the recording on City Council's website from, I want to say, February of 2020. In that meeting, we were reconsidering the task force to transform the city jail, and there was some other paper that came up. Michael Julian Bond said in that meeting, when asked why we need to transform the then empty jail into a center for wellness and healing, he said, well, I agree that we need a center for wellness and healing, but why can't you all, have y'all thought about putting it over at the old prison farm? Because this facility was home to a prison farm, so there are enslaved Africans, right, buried in that land. He said, why don't you all put the Center for Wellness and Healing at the prison farm? So they have been itching to do something with that land, and the Atlanta Police Foundation has been itching to expand its real estate footprint, right? And they were determined to do something with the prison farm, and Cop City is what's stuck.
That's right.
You guys got another question coming at you?
Before that question, one more reminder. How many people are y'all talking to over the next month? 5. 10. Oh, people showing out. Okay. Do I see 15? That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
5 people over the next month. We're going to close out with this question. On your way out, though, even if you can't sign this petition, sign up to help us get folks' signatures. Your neighbors, your boo, your kids, right? Your churchgoers, your bike club, whoever. We need your support. All right, last question. Bring us home.
I have less of a question and more of a statement about the lie that's being told about why we Cop City. I live in Buckhead, and I'm on the next door Avenue. What I've noticed is that a lot of people are complaining about police response times, crime, and so in Buckhead, they believe that Cop City is going to be the thing that keeps them safe in Buckhead. I'm not really sure how that translates, but that's the lie. The lie is that we're going to build this thing and then we're going to show up on time when you call us. When I don't know, like police don't come until after crime has been committed anyway, which your parents or anybody who's ever experienced crime, and they don't catch people that commit crime. So that's the lie. That's the lie that we're going to keep you safe, that it's going to change something about your neighborhood, that it's going to get rid of the homeless people in Buckhead now, because that's a whole nother thing. Everybody is very upset that they have to see the homeless people.
You know what fixes homelessness? Housing.
Right.
You put someone in the house, they're not homeless anymore. Right. Yeah. But I digress.
But yeah, so all of the people that are funding this thing don't want to have to see the problem. Yeah. And after the pandemic happened, they had to see the problem. It started with the water boys in Buckhead, and they didn't like that. And then it's gotten, more. There's more homelessness. So they put, the rocks under the bridges, and they cut down all of the trees where people were living. So yeah, that's the lie. That's true.
I was just going to say, just specifically to the water boy thing, investing in economic empowerment and opportunities for these young kids to make money and mental health services will keep them off your corners, will keep them off the freeways, will keep them out of the neighborhood and into a bag, into something that they actually care about. They don't have time. There's nowhere for them to go outside. Cleveland Avenue desperately needs investment, but we can't talk to Antonio Lewis about that.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a great point you just brought up. I want to, just recently, Antonio Lewis sponsored a Hip Hop 50 event down at City Hall with the Power Awards. There was a lot of celebrities and things of that nature. My question is, Atlanta around the world is known for the hype, the entertainment, things of that nature. What are some of the strategies that you are using to engage that part of Atlanta to get them involved to stop Cop City?
So our organization in particular has been partnered with Bullpen Battle Rap League, has been partnered with URL in ways to really reach individuals where they're at. We've done 2 battle rap events, really engaging with the what do you call it? The unengaged black voting population, right? They're having these conversations, letting them know about what's going on, and really talking to them in a way that they understand, right? Meeting people where they're at is the base of what we need to do to get people on board with stopping Cop City. But specifically to your point about the celebrities and the artists who make money off this city, who brag on being from Atlanta, the T.I.s, the Killer Mikes, the folks who have nonprofit organizations, the Lil Babies, the folks who act like they're in the community doing stuff, but they're not in our faces, they're not in our rooms, they're not with our organizations building and on the street, they're not canvassing, they're not helping justice impacted people. And those are the things that we need to start doing, is holding those people accountable who make money off of this city. The Tyler Perrys who just buy BET. What has he done for the city of Atlanta? Those people need to be in the conversation. So it's going to them, knocking on their door, the same way that we bird dog our councilman, or we bird dog the mayor or whoever. We need to go to those people and let them know that you are a part of this city, but you're a part of the problem if you're not part of the solution.
And I would say at Southern Center, we have worked with NFL, for example, ball players who were here for the Super Bowl. We wanted them to see the criminalization of poverty in our city court, so we took them to court and they sat and they watched judges assess fines and fees on homeless people or people experiencing homelessness, assess bail on people they knew couldn't afford it. And then we met with the chief judge and the deputy judge and some other folks, and they thought that they were gonna, they were groupies, right? They were happy to meet these ball players, but because we were able to train them up on these talking points about any cash bail, about the criminalization of poverty, it was actually those conversations were shut down, because what we knew is that if we didn't have those conversations, they were going to sweep all of the people experiencing homelessness from downtown before the Super Bowl. So at Southern Center, we provide technical policy assistance and other support to whoever needs it. We're at 60 Walton Street. If you bring a cohort of celebrities or creatives, athletes to us, regardless of their political affiliation, we are happy to provide political education and talk through which groups they can work with around strategy, because we understand that information is a big part. We don't turn people away, but unfortunately, people like to take pictures. And so the number of people who come to us is really small versus the ones who want to run down to City Hall anytime there are balloons in the rotunda. They like balloons.
Hi. My question is, what is the plan for us as pro-black voters? Are we going to continue showing up to these candidates that we know are going to turn around and establish some facts? Especially as young black voters, there's a lot of fatigue. I'm constantly trying to meet where they are regarding if you should continue to vote, if you should not. But if we know that we're going to get Andre Dickens and the others voting for them.
So, I was a politician one time, reformed. I'm sorry. But, and I left all of that because I was very sickened by the cycles of coming out and asking people to vote and then becoming stagnant and stale and forgetting where you came from once you got in office, and cycles over and over again, and noticing that, we would have an upsurge of movement that would go into an election cycle and then it would fade, and then people would not have to be accountable to anyone. But it was that movement that had the power to put someone in office, and it's that movement and that pressure of consciously organized people that can actually move anything. Because the Cop City still isn't built because people have occupied the forest for 2 years to put their bodies on the line to protect that forest. And because people have put pressure on the contractors and the banks funding the project and the corporate funders behind the project and the Atlanta Police Foundation, by occupation, by gathering in masses for direct action to get things done. And I believe that if we continue to put energy into those areas, we can do what we can do. We can do just about anything. We can do just about anything. And so I'm really, really hopeful that we can harness this energy that there is around the referendum right now, and there is around Cop City right now, and continue to build out a mass movement capable of just making all of these politicians with their balloons in the rotunda completely irrelevant. Because we, the people, will decide what happens in our community. It's not something else.
Hey, good people. First off, I want to thank you all for this amazing event. KJ, thank you. And I met you last night, Mariah, finally meeting you. And to the dear sister who was speaking about the Red Dogs, I wanted to give these to you. These are what are called Cops trading cards. You've heard of Cops baseball cards? These are Cops trading cards. Our first series features the Brunswick All-Stars, everybody responsible for Ahmaud Arbery's death. The second series we're calling Martyrs and Monsters, after Dungeons and Dragons. And they feature none other than Saralene Davis, the head of the Red Dogs here in the city of Atlanta, who took her talents to a great place called Memphis, and has continued to run the operation known as the Scorpions, or the Red Dogs, just by another name. So my job is to put these people on blast, to show this horrible crime, and to also make sure you never forget these faces. My job is to name the nameless and shame the shameless. And this is what I do. And I come to this horrible occupation because my mother, who is a great scholar here in the city of Atlanta at Emory Rollins School of Public Health, when she retired, she lost her life to police brutality. Not only her, but also my niece in utero. She never tasted air because a taser was pointed at my sister's body. And so I come to this occupation very reluctantly. But as an artist, I must do what I can. And so here I take my stand. My name is Son Christopher. The organization is called IamCreativeJustice.org. We provide scholarships to children who have lost their lives, their parents, to police brutality. And my goal again, and I ask you, do you want to live in the world that has been given to you or the world that you create? I choose to live in the one that I create. So help me and help us, and we must do what we can because I love this city. And I know that there is only more brutality coming. James Baldwin said it best. What you have witnessed in 2021 was the latest slave revolts. That's what you saw. And Cop City is now that backlash. Thank you for your ears. Thank you for your time. And again, my name is Son Christopher. If you like some cards and you'd like to make a donation, you're welcome to get some from me. And again, be more than blessed. Cheers.
Thank you, Son Christopher. And with that, I believe we are closing out tonight. Don't forget to check out this table as you leave, get information about how you can help canvass, and go ahead and text one of those 5 people now. Your 5 folks that you're talking to over the next 30 days, go ahead and text them and say, hey, I want to talk to you about something really important. Thank you all for coming out, y'all. Have a good night. CopCityVote.com is where you can get more information.